Now, contributions made by Australia's business leaders are being recognised by the CEO magazine. For the first time in 8 years, the Executive of the Year award has been held, and it's a 50-50 split between males and females, Janie.
Absolutely, and joining us this morning is Susan Armstrong, the Content Director of the CEO magazine and a member of this year's judging panel. Great to have you here this morning. Now, let's talk, Susan, about the business awards, particularly those for, well, levels of high executives. They seem to be certainly dominated by males. There's a higher proportion, isn't there, of male CEOs in the country than females.
Oh, completely. It's, you know, it's not anywhere near the sort of 50-50 split that we would be hoping for. Yeah, I think it was just released, the chief executive census for women, and it said that I think it went down from 14 CEOs for companies ASX 200 down to 12. So we're actually going backwards, which is alarming and disappointing, and you know, I think there's just something that we really need to do about it. What we're doing right now is not working, so we need to figure out what we can do to change the status quo.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Because we talk about it in politics as well. That there should be more representation, because there's so many qualities that women bring to the table that men just don't.
Well, see, I think that's the thing. You know, for such a long time we've seen leaders as having these masculine traits, you know, about being analytical and you know, and being quite forceful or assertive. And what we're not doing is really looking at those female traits like having empathy and being emotive as seen as being, you know, the right kind of leader. We need to change the attitude and realise that having both traits is what makes the best leader of all.
And with your awards, tell us what happens and what the categories are and what the judges have to look for.
Okay, so we have 24 categories. We've been running the awards for 8 years. Founder and CEO Chris Dutton kind of decided about 8 years ago that there were so many awards for businesses, but there weren't any for the people who run the businesses. So he decided on the Executive of the Year awards. And so it's been running for 8 years, and we send out applications. People can start applying in about March of this year. There's so many categories. There's media executive, there's CFO, CEO, all the C-suite titles, as well as a lot of category industries. The application is quite, you know, lengthy. There's lots of questions about everything from strategy and vision through to management, retention, you know, the whole sort of picture about what it is to be a great leader. And then we go through all the applications, we whittle them down to the finalists, and that's what we have now.
I've had a bit of a look at the criteria, and I really like the fact that it's not just the markers, it's just not running a good business, it's about the way you treat your staff.
Absolutely.
It's that retention thing is quite a big part of the way that you will assess whether someone's going to make the finals or not.
100%. I mean, it is all about the staff. If you've got the right staff and they're happy, then you've got a winning business. You know, and it's the opposite is true. If you don't look after your staff and you don't worry about retaining them or how to, you know, keep them on that vision and get them involved with the company, then you're on a, you know, it's not a losing battle.
And tell us about the actual judges. Are they CEOs themselves?
Yes, we have some amazing judges this year. We have Susie Nicoletti from Twitter. We have the amazing Pip Marlowe from Salesforce. We have John Karagunis from the CEO Circle. There are 14 of us in total, and we're meeting on the 25th of this month for a judges' lunch to decide on the winner of the CEO. And then that will be announced on the night on the 14th of November at the Palladium at Crown.
Is it? Does it get? Because everyone's going to come to the table with different ideas. These things aren't easy, are they?
They're not easy at all. But it's a really interesting. You know, what I found most fascinating about judging these awards. Janine Alice was one of our judges a couple of years ago, and she said it was like looking under the hood of Australian businesses. For me, it was like having a front row seat at a CEO masterclass, you know, and being able to kind of really look inside the brains of these remarkable executives. And so on the 25th is when we sit down and we really decide on who's going to walk away with the top award.
So last year, I believe you had only one of the female finalists for a major award. So the CEO of the year this year, the gender split that you were talking about before.
We have 5, which is the first time that's ever happened, and I'm absolutely thrilled about it. We did push, you know, we tried to get more women to apply, because the year before it was about 30% of our applications were made by women. It rose a little bit. We got 10% more applications this year, so we're still a way off about having that 50-50 split, but I'm thrilled that for the top award, there are 5 women and 5 men up for the award.
Perfect. Yes. Well, thanks, Susan. All the very best with the discussions.
Thank you so much.
May they be cordial and everyone comes to the decision that you want.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, thanks for joining us today.